Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the Frontline Changes report for the Ukraine war or the special military operation in Ukraine for the past 24 hours, and it's a huge, massive report. Uh, a lot of frontline changes. Is a big 24 hours in the Ukraine war. We have frontline changes all over in the Kursk front at Adruba, Komarovka, Apanasovka, Kerenonevo, Ogovka, Cheskaskaya, and then we go, and then there's updates over in the in the Kupiansk front at the Peshchane, Berestove, Makievka in the Svetove front, Zelinianske over in the Bakhmut front, Zelizne over New York front, New York, NIU-YORK, some huge update at the New York. New York basically has collapsed. And Novotoretsk, Duravka, all these are AVDIIVKA front, Mykolaievka, Zavidne, Zelane, and Novozelane. So a huge report. So we're going to go from the Kursk update first. Kursk frontline changes first. The Ukrainians have attacked into Tekino. Actually not Tekino, but the northern part of Tekino. Ukraine forces actually attacked into Truba. They probably have captured it and taken everything in the western part of the CM River. So Russian forces continue to hold the border settlement of Tekino. The Ukrainian forces basically have taken along the river at the same river. So this would mean that the Ukrainians may try to do a crossing soon. On the other side, maybe they may attack into the rear positions because they can't break through Tekino. Maybe they will try attacking the rear position and start a totally new front over in the Kursk region. So this comes with, of course, the breaking of the bridge at Glushkovo. So this makes sense. This is actually all along the southern half of this Glushkovo region. Other frontline change includes the over at this western front of the Kursk, western sector of the Kursk front. Ukrainian forces have been reportedly attacking Komarovka. They have allegedly have captured Apanasovka. Sorry, what is this? Apanasovka. And according to the Ukrainian mapping, and they have also allegedly have recaptured Snagos, according to the Ukrainian mapping. So the Ukrainian mapping Deep State UA has given up this operational secrecy thingy, and they have started to update the latest information at the Kursk front. So previously they have withheld information. I think they felt stupid now, so they start to map it because it is stupid at the first place. And anyway, they have also captured grounds over at Kerenonevo, basically getting closer. But this is Ukrainian mapping, so this is a Ukrainian claim. And Ukrainian forces have captured most of Ogovka over in this eastern part, east of Kerenonevo. So this is the Ukrainian advances in this western sector of the Kursk front. Very major update. The Ukrainians are doubling down on the Kursk offensive, and they are not stopping. So other than this area, there's frontline changes over at this Sudzha sector as well. At the Sudzha sector, actually close to the southern sector, Russian Defense Ministry reported the Ukrainians attack Cherkasskaya Konopelka as well as Fanasievka. So this, based on this information, DPA have made a judgment call as we assess that the Ukrainian forces have taken all these grounds in order to attack into these two settlements. So currently, we have no updates or no information whether the Ukrainians have captured Cherkasskaya, Konopelka, or Fanasievka. So tentatively, we are not going to mark it in that way, but we definitely mark the front line closer so that we can actually reflect this situation. If not, the front line was pretty far away previously. So this is the next update over in the Kursk front. So after this, that's all from the Kursk front. There's a lot of updates, a lot of progress from the Ukrainian side. We move into Pishchane over at the Kupiansk front, and at this area in the southwest of Pishchane, Russian forces have taken some grounds, made some advance, taking some tree lines. So in this direction, in this direction, it would mean that this is progressing towards KURSK, which is last reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry on the 16th of August. So we will continue to monitor. Nearby, over on the east of that location at Berestove, based on the Ukrainian mapping, Russian forces have taken most of Berestove now. I estimate maybe 80% of Berestove is now under Russian control. So previously, we do not have information that the Russians have come to the southern half of Berestove, but this is the first indication from the Ukrainian mapping that this is the case. So you may wonder that why I have no voice, because we have just finished a 6 hours plus DPA open mic. We discussed a lot about Ukraine war, so do check it out. I will put the link at the end of this video. So the next frontline change is over at NIU-YORK. Based on Russian mapping, they have claimed that they have taken everything east of the Zherebets River at NIU-YORK. So this is the Russian claim. This is not confirmed yet on the Ukrainian side, but we will continue to monitor this situation over at NIU-YORK, because this is actually a very significant place, strategically pretty important in this area here. And after NIU-YORK, the next frontline change, we go into Zalianske over at the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, this is a push that I have advocated or analyzed that the Russians should do before. And it seems like the Russians may start to do this. We do not know. We will have to continue to monitor. But Russian forces taken this entire tree line formation, this trapezoidal, never mind, rectangle, slanted rectangle at Zalianske. So this is pretty significant because we haven't seen the Russians push out of Zalianske for a long time. So this might be a signal for more things to come. So if they continue to push in this direction, then I told you so again. So yeah, anyway, I will probably redo the analysis video to share about why this makes a lot of sense for the Russians. And after the frontline change around here, we go to Zalizne over at the New York front. As you can see, the New York front has collapsed. The entire area here, you can see this is Zalizne. Russian forces geolocated at this area here, confirming Russians' presence in the area, invalidating Ukrainian claims. Then we go to the New York region. Russian forces have basically taken all this area. So first thing first, I want to highlight Deep State UA. So this is confirmed Ukrainian losses. Russian forces, according to the Ukrainians, have taken these grounds, as well as entering NIU-YORK from the east. So on the western part, the Russians have taken most of the ground. The entire eastern part of New York, they go towards NIU-YORK. The entire eastern portion of New York, almost the entire thing has fallen. All the heavy entrenchment has fallen to the Russians, and then from the western part of New York, where the flanking movement is happening, they have entered into NIU-YORK. So this is according to the Ukrainians. According to the Russians, the collapse is bigger, with the Russians taking all of the substation, and they have taken everything all the way to the edge of NIU-YORK, including all these water bodies around here, which makes sense, because if all these defensive lines fall, all Ukrainians can't possibly stay here. In fact, the Ukrainians can't even stay here in this region here. So tentatively, the Ukrainian forces probably are defending around NIU-YORK to make sure that any Ukrainian stranglers have a chance to redraw away from this kill zone. And according to the Russians, they also have taken the entire of this factory in New York. The Ukrainian mapping is very suspicious. They draw this entire area as gray zone. Clearly, that's a code. It's impossible for the Ukrainian forces to have any more presence around New York, given the formation of the front line right now. So this is a massive collapse. The New York front is as good as over. This is gone now, and perhaps we can't even call it the New York front anymore. We probably call it the Thorax front. But because Thorax still survived, New York has basically collapsed. There is no more New York in the Ukrainian presence. So if you zoom in, you probably see that the entirety of New York has been largely captured. The Ukrainians still leave the Ukrainian mapping leave this area here as gray zone. Whereas they draw this finger here, digging up into NIU-YORK, and this spike here. So it's like this. They draw a finger like this, which is impossible. That is impossible that the Ukrainians have any presence around this area here. This is just um, this is just an impossible way of drawing this thing. It just don't make sense. This entire area is most likely now under Russian control. It should be a full capture of New York. And this is something that I've already warned, because of the strategic situation, the tactical situation around here is undefendable anymore. The Ukrainians, from the mapping update, suggest that the Ukrainians are in full withdrawal. So this has now confirmed that my analysis is correct. The Ukrainians were in full withdrawal, and the fighting has now entered into NIU-YORK, with the Russian forces have entered into the southwestern part of NIU-YORK, with another force now pushing up from the south. And according to the Russian mapping, the Russians are also pushing over from the Zalizny region, and from this you can see that this is gone. This junction cannot be used anymore. This road cannot be used anymore. It's gone as well. And this is the only path left. And this is purely for withdrawal. You can't fight anymore. No forces is going to stay here. It's impossible. They can't stay there at all. Everyone will withdraw. They will have to go to a new line of defense. This is gone. This front line is gone. So that's it from this New York front. We move to another major front line, and this is worse. This collapse is even bigger than the New York one. The Russian forces have taken massive amount of ground over in this AVDIIVKA front. So we go from the top first. The Russian forces have now went to the outskirts of Novotoretsk, according to the Russian mapping. This is a small thing. Then we go into this Zhuravka region. According to the Russian mapping, Zhuravka has fallen to the Russian forces, and the fighting has now entered to the region of Krutaya or Krasnaya, both this twin village around here. Russian forces is now pushing in this direction. Then we have the major deluge of this entire region. I can't even give it a name. I just give it Novozelany. But generally, the Russians have claimed they have captured Zavidny, Novozelany, Komishevka, Mezove, Skushny, and everything east of Yasnobrodivka. And the fighting have reached Pitishe, as well as in the entire area of Mykolaievka, the Russians have fully secured. So the Russians have now started the battle towards Novohorodivka. They are now getting close to Marinivka. They are moving towards Mikhailivka. They are now at Pitishe. This is something I told you, right? I say that the fighting at Pitishe don't make sense. How can they be fighting over there if the Russians have not captured the Komishevka and Zavidny? And now we have corroboration from the Russian mapping that the Russians have indeed taken all these places, which is why the fighting is over at Pitishe. This Pitishe. And the Russians have also, after a long lull in intel, have indeed taken everything from south of Novoselivka, Persha, and Yasnobrodivka, and the Russians have taken everything north of Kalivka. This makes sense because the Ukrainians can't possibly defend all these places. These areas I have also mentioned before. I told you so before, that the Ukrainians would have to redraw because this is just very undefendable places. It's just hard to supply, and it's just don't make sense. And no troops is going to reinforce into that region. It just feels too dangerous. And this is a massive collapse. And Ukrainian mapping have not acknowledged this yet. Based on the Ukrainian mapping, the Russian forces have taken went half of Mezove, north of Komishevka, most of Novozelany, taken Zavidny, and but this geolocation, so they have no choice, and also part of Mikhailivka. So this is the Ukrainian mapping. The Russian mapping claims a lot more, but I believe the Russian mapping is correct in this case because we have way too long not having any updates in this region here. And given that there's no more fighting, the last fighting reported at Skushny was on the 15th. Now it's already the 18th. Today is 19th. And the fighting has always been reported at Pitishe since the 14th to the 16th. So the last was at the 15th. So the Russian forces clearly have advanced in this area here. Komishivka was hardly mentioned, and Zavine was mentioned in these past 2 days. So the Russian push towards Pitishe probably is quite clear. If you purely based on Ukrainian Defense Ministry's report, Komishivka was given up without a fight. Russian forces pushed through towards Pitishe, and then they have taken Zavine, and the entire Mykolaiivka has collapsed. Russians now have a new big decent sized city to target, which is Selidove. So Selidove is also a pretty important settlement in this region here. So the Russians have not even finished their first boss and an alternate first boss. Now they want to go for a alternate second boss. So Russians are very greedy right now because the entire line here has just collapsed and the Russians can just do whatever they want. So very, very, very massive update in this region here. So anyway, these are the Frontline changes report, pretty long one. So press the like button, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I will do a KURSK update later because I feel that there's now sufficient information to talk about. Yesterday we don't have much information, so today we have a lot more. So we will talk about it later, but just digest this now, and so have a balance of view. Don't just cope with the KURSK update. The KURSK offensive is successful. All the Russian Pokrov sector or the New York sector is successful. Both sides are taking grounds, but it's up to you to decide which one is more important. And thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and someone told me to draw this, and XX Lambo, and also OM DPA open mic. So DPA, and I'll see you guys in the next update.